me to edit a video that I had filmed and was going to post it. It was a book review of a bunch of books that I had read. And it turns out I looked like trash. Like, I don't say that often, but like the angle I thought was okay, and I was like filming it from like such a down angle. I literally look like a 12-year-old filming her first YouTube video. And I mean, like, inside I'm a 12-year-old filming YouTube videos, but like I don't need my exterior to show that. So everything that I filmed I had to delete, and I did not realize it because Amanda doesn't look over things until weeks after she films them. So I have to refilm the video, which isn't really that much of a problem because it just gives me a chance to procrastinate. So I don't really have any of the books. I only have one of the books that I read like physically with me, so I'm not even gonna show it. I'll just like put them somewhere over here. I don't know, like a picture of the cover. But I'm just gonna talk about some of the books that I read recently. All of these books are from like August or like later. I really haven't had a chance to read as much as I thought I had. But I'm going to do the book I'm currently reading. I'm definitely gonna finish by Christmas break, and then I might not start. I think I'll start reading it, but like I want to see how many books I can read over Christmas break, like just rapid fire, like read as many as possible, and then I'll do like a really big book review of those books when I get back or right before I leave or something like that. But yeah, okay, so let's get into it. Wait, pause. Before I like really go into the books, all I'm gonna do is list all the books that I'm going to review, give them like a rating and like a little synopsis of what the book was about, and then I'll just do a spoiler full or like spoilery section. None of the books I really read, with the exception of one, I think really are full of like spoilers that would ruin the book for somebody. But regardless, I'll just do that. Okay, so at first I read Where Did You Go, Bernadette. I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. It is about a mother who disappears one day. And it's about how her family has to find her and like where she went, basically. That's the simplest explanation I can give of the book, frankly. Okay, next I read Beartown. I give that 4.8 stars out of 5. It is, I can't really say much about this book without really spoiling it. It is about a hockey town in Sweden, and something bad happens. One of the players of the junior hockey team, the star hockey team, does something really bad, and it affects the entire town in turn. And that's the gist of that video, that book. Yes, okay. Next, I read Crazy Rich Asians. I give it 4.25 stars out of 5. I am so obnoxious with the stupid star rating, but I have a method to it, so it's okay. If you've seen the movie, then you know what it's about. It is about a character. Her name is Rachel Chu, and she is dating this guy named Nick Young, and they go to visit his family, Nick's family in Singapore, for a wedding. And basically Rachel finds out that Nick's family is super duper rich, and all this craziness unfolds within the super rich family. Okay, so now that, and I read Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief. I reread it, but I'm not even going to talk about that. It gets 5 out of 5 stars, as it does every time. I'm not even going to talk about it, but yeah, I'm just really going to talk about those 3 books. And then, yeah. Okay, so Where'd You Go, Bernadette? It gets 2.5 stars out of 5, and honestly, I feel like it should get less, but I kind of want to demote it a star just for good measure, because the longer I go with, like, after reading it, I'm like, the more disappointed I am when I think about it. I had really high expectations for this book. I saw that they were making a movie about it. I wanted to read the book, and I was really excited to read it. The characters get a solid 2 stars. I mean, they were like funny. Like, it's a funny book. It's supposed to be funny, I guess. But like, it's not. Like, they're funny in a sense, like it's overdone, but there's no substance past like that, like humor. There's no real motivation. Like, the character Bernadette is crazy. Like, she just has like some weird like psychotic break kind of, and like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, they don't really explain, like, she's been crazy the entire time, so like, why is now the time that they want to like actually fight her? Like, I feel like there's no real motivation as to why these characters want to put her in a psychiatric hospital now, and like why they want to do things now. Like, it doesn't make sense. It just is like, oh, it's convenient for me, so I'm gonna have it happen. I just didn't like it. The plot gets a 3. It was an interesting like format. It's written like, a lot of the first half of the book is pretty much just through like letters and emails and telephone calls and things like that, and that's how you get most of the plot, through those things. But like, it's not super original. I've seen it done before. I mean, it was done well, but like, it's not like crazy. And like, I don't know, it just, the ending was really underwhelming. It was just like, oh, there's my mom, she's here. Oh, she's like, because like the whole thing is like the mother goes crazy because she was an architect and she hasn't been building for like 12 years, and so like now she's like really like losing it because she hasn't been able to build anything. So then they find her in Antarctica building something, and like she's rebuilding this house that she's like, it's called the 20-mile house, and you can only use things that are like 20 miles away from you, but she's only in ice, so how is she gonna build? Like, it's really underwhelming. Like, I guess it's fitting, but at the same time I was like, okay, like, we knew she was gonna be in Antarctica from day 1 because you were going on an Antarctic vacation. Like, why, where else would she go? Like, you literally told us in the first chapter where she was gonna go. It just seemed really stupid to me. I didn't think there was a plot twist, and I think the book could be perfectly set up for a plot twist, and it wasn't, and I felt that was kind of lame. Yeah, like, language, which is just like how it's like written, and like how in like whether it was written really dumbed down, written not, like that type thing. I mean, it gives it a 4. Like, it was good, it was funny, it was like cutesy, you know, it wasn't too hard to read, it was enjoyable, it was like mid-level. As far as meeting expectations, it gets a big fat 1. I really thought I was gonna love this book. I thought it was gonna be so good, and somebody who had read it before was like, it's like all right, and I was like, no, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna love it. And I was like, I really wasted my time reading that. Okay, so next I read Beartown. It gets a 4. I'm gonna fix this light because I can see it in my glasses and it's bothering me. But like, I need the lighting, so like, is that better? I still don't like how you can kind of see it in my glasses, but y'all will have to deal, I guess. Okay, no, it's still so annoying. What happens if I turn the light off? Is the lighting that bad? No, okay. So, new lighting, new me. Okay, so Beartown gets a 4.8 out of 5 stars, which sounds really obnoxious, but like, out of my, 4 criteria, I like take an average. So, I mean, I'll bump it up to a 5 out of 5 stars. It deserves it. Anyway, characters, 5. Friedrich Backman, he's one of my favorite authors. He like is so good at describing the characters. He pulls you in, like, chef's kiss. Beautiful. Like, the characters are so, like, even minor characters that aren't like big to the plot, like this character Ramona, who is significant to the plot in a big way, in the fact that she stands up, and this is where the spoilers come in, she stands up to you know, the town when they're like defending Kevin's rape, and like she's like, no, like, rape is not okay. We can't accept it regardless of who he is. And like, she stands up to the town. So she's significant in that sense, but like, otherwise not really. And there's another character who is just like a friend of like the manager of the team, and like, you care about him. You're like, at the end, like, Bachman kind of like lets you know what happened to him, and you're like, good. Like, every character is so important, and like, so like, you care about them, and you know who every character is, and you feel like you're a part of the town by the end of the book, and I love that. And I also like how he gives Kevin, like, Kevin obviously raped a girl, so he's a rapist, but he also presents him as a scared child, which is also what he is. Like, he doesn't excuse the actions of him and still like shows that he must be held responsible, but at the same time, like, really, like, he presents him like both sides of him without like making him a victim, which I really, really love, because it's really hard to do that. It's a really fine line to walk, and he did it really well. Okay, plot gets a 4.5. The only reason I gave it a 4.5 was because it took a while for the actual major plot point, which is the rape, to happen. It didn't happen until like over halfway, a little under halfway through the book, which is a really long time for like the thing that gets the story set in motion to happen. But it's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you didn't do that, I wouldn't feel as close to the characters as I do. But I don't know. I'm very conflicted about it. That's the only reason, because it felt like it took a while, and I knew it was going to happen when I went into the book. I knew that she was going to be raped. So like, I was sitting there like, when is this party happening? Like, when is this thing happening? And so it felt like it dragged on for a bit. That was that though. Otherwise, like, it was so good. Okay, the language, 5 out of 5. This is like translated. He's Swedish, so you know, this isn't written in English, and it's translated, and it's so beautiful translated. I love this book. Like, there's so many lines that literally sent chills. Like, I had to just drop the book and just go like, okay, for the one example, oh my gosh. So Benji, the one character, he's a closeted gay character throughout the whole thing, and he has has a troubled past. You can tell he like deals with like substance abuse, and like there's a lot of like mention of like just self-harm, and that this kid is like really depressed and feels really, really lonely, even though he's one of the more popular kids. And it's just really like, there's one line, I'm gonna see if I can find it, because this is the one book I have with me, and I guess like it won't really like mean anything unless you've read the book, but there was one line, I literally dropped it and was like in tears. So Benji is personally my favorite character in the book. I just really like his character. He's a sweet little boy, and he just wants to be loved, and he can't have it. And so basically towards the very end, oh gosh, let's see if I can really find it. Okay, I think I have it, I think. Boo. Okay, yes. Okay, so it says, so it talks about 4 characters that were all on the team. So Amat, Zacharias, well, Zacharias wasn't really on the team, but irrelevant. Amat, Zacharias, Bobo, and Benjamin. Benjamin is Benji, if you couldn't tell. So it says 2 have just turned 16, Amat and Zacharias. 2 will soon be turning 18, Bobo and Benjamin. In 10 years' time, 2 of them will be playing professionally, and you can tell that's hinting at Amat and Bobo. Well, I don't know. It says 1 will be a dad, 1 will be dead. Okay? I don't know who is the one that dies. So I think it's Benji, because Benji's like kind of suicidal. However, Zacharias also, there was like mention of him being suicidal too. Everyone's really depressed in this book. So I don't know who dies, and it really hurts me, but I think it's Benji, because I think it has to be Benji, because like later it talks about like the their coach, who's like their father figure, like leaving stuff on his grave. So I feel like it has to be him, and it makes me really upset, and I was literally crying. It's like the last page of the book. Did it meet my expectations? Yes, it exceeded my expectations. Every single one of this man's books exceeds my expectations. There's a sequel to this book called Us Against You, which is about, like, so at the very end of the book, basically the hockey town is toxic. So at the very end of the book, they decide that they're going to start a hockey team for girls, because girls don't get, like, there's a lot of talk, especially like when the discussion of rape, what girls are and aren't allowed to do. Girls aren't allowed to like hockey as much as boys. So one of the characters starts a hockey team for girls. And like judging by the cover, it's a little girl like by the hockey rink. So like it's gonna be about that team, and that just makes me really happy. And I cannot wait to read it. Okay. So last but certainly not least, well, yeah, not least. Where'd you go, Bernadette? Was least. Anyway, is Crazy Rich Asians, which is 4.25 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the characters get a 4 because they were really cool. They were really interesting, but there was a lot of them. It was really hard to keep track. There is a little, like family tree in the beginning of the book, which I had to flip back to so many times because it was so hard to remember who was who. And I also just felt like some of them were missing, like even in like the main characters, Rachel and Nick, like it just felt like there was something just a little off and a little like weird about it. Okay, the plot gets a 4. It was interesting, but there were, so I gave it a 4 when I first finished it because there were some loose ends, but I'm realizing now I started reading the second book and they are tied to the other, so it's a trilogy, and the second book, it's tied into the second book. So I just would have liked a little more closure in the first one, but I get it. He wants you to read the second, so whatever. Okay. The language I had to go back, like I was getting really confused with the plot sometimes, and just like what was happening. And some of the sentences were just written a little confusing. But like you really had to actively read. It's not a laid back, like relaxed reading, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. It didn't meet my expectations. I still give it a 5 because it's not what I expected at all. Like I was expecting something a little more comical. I mean, this is funny and a little witty, but I was expecting something a lot like more in your face funny as the movie is, but I still like really, really enjoyed it. And I don't know if like it's better than what I was expecting, but I still really liked it. The second book, called Rich People Problems, I'm not really gonna talk about because I'm adding it to like my DNFs. I started listening to an audiobook and I just didn't really get into it. I maybe like got like 10% of the book, which isn't that much, so I can't really like talk about it. I feel like I'd have to physically read it, and maybe that's just like I just wasn't feeling it. But yeah. Okay, so that is, ooh, my currently reading. What's up next, Amanda? I don't know what that was. I'm currently reading How to Make Friends with the Dark. And I have lots of feelings about this book, but that will be for the next video because I'm not quite finished with it yet. So I'm going to finish, I think I said this earlier, I'm going to finish this one and talk about this one, not on its own video. Maybe I'll do its own video for this book. I don't really know if it deserves it. Thank you for watching my video. If you watched this far, I love you very much. Make sure to go read the books I told you to read. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. Follow me on my Instagram, which is down below. Follow me on my Twitter, even though I don't use it, that's also down below. Have a great day. Adios.